Trickle-down economics, more honestly known as supply-side economics. Firms or businesses or stores, if we can make it more affordable, cheaper for them to operate, if we can create an environment in America where they can operate at a lower cost, they can pass those savings on to you. They can lower their prices. And when they lower their prices, you can buy more. And when you buy more, the consumer, the household, they buy more. If you're purchasing more goods, they have to make more goods. That means they got to hire more workers, which in turn creates more households buying, which stimulates the economy more. But also, those new workers have to make stuff. You have to get the resources to make that stuff. So that's more buying from the firms. So they're buying from other firms. They're buying from other businesses, which stimulates those. Everything grows. Boom! Supply side economics. This is the supply side. They are supplying the goods. Trickle-down economics doesn't work. It's supply side, dude. Well, Democrats call this trickle-down economics. They made up the term as a pejorative to slam Republicans. Well, guess what? Slam back. The Republicans say, well, your trickle-down economics doesn't work. We don't believe in trickle-down economics. Yes, you do. You have your own version that doesn't often get talked about, but we're talking about it today. So we've got trickle-down economics in terms of the Republicans, which is supply side, and then trickle-down economics for the Democrats, which is also supply side. So here's how it works. Republicans believe with their public policy, their economic plan, if you can make it more affordable for firms to operate by lowering taxes, by cutting regulation, they then can cut their costs. They can then pass those savings on to consumers by lowering the price tag, and then the consumers and households buy more goods. The economy grows. It's a pretty simple plan. Cut taxes, deregulate, firms save money, pass the savings on to you. You can buy more, everything grows. What do the Democrats do? What is their public policy? What is their economic plan? How do they trickle it down? Well, rather than cut taxes, your tax is still high. Rather than deregulate, you're still going to get regulated. We're just going to give out money. So they will hand out the dole. They will subsidize firms, businesses, stores, certain institutions, even some households. But mainly we're talking about the firms, the businesses. And so the firm has so much money. But now they've got additional money in their pocket because the government just cut them a fat check, just subsidized them. Now, since they've got this extra cash, they can afford to lower their prices. They haven't necessarily become more efficient. They haven't become more productive. They're not really mastering what they do. They're just getting free money. And because they've got this extra money, they can lower the costs. They can pass the savings on to you. You buy it, the economy grows. That's the Democrat plan for growing the economy. Either way you slice it, you have two economic public policies. How is the government involved in each? In one, the Republican version is more hands-off, laissez-faire. Just cut the taxes, cut the regulation, and then disappear into the bush like Homer Simpson. And then let the chips fall where they may. Let the consumers decide which firms and households will grow. Let an efficient free market economy bloom. Over in the Democrat version, we have the government very much involved, picking certain institutions, picking certain firms, and selecting them, giving them money, and then those are the ones that will hopefully stimulate the economy. Let's go further into this. Look at the Republican policy of cutting taxes. It's across the board, it's everyone. And then boom, the Republicans disappear into the bush like Homer Simpson. They deregulate across the board, boom. Ultimately, it's going to be the consumer that's going to decide who is successful. It's going to be the household that decides. But first, what about the Democrats? More of a game of eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Whereas with Republicans, slash taxes across the board for everybody, even households. Get rid of regulation for everybody. Over here, the government subsidization, the government handouts, the government dole will be the Democrat Party selecting which institutions receive funding and which do not. Which firms and businesses and stores receive funding and which do not. And often, this money, these handouts, are not directed in the most efficient way. They're not given to the best businesses. they're given to businesses that will ultimately help the Democrat Party. Don't believe me? Look at the Biden administration. Look at the treatment of Elon Musk. Boy, has that backfired. Clearly one of the most efficient, productive companies in the country did not receive government subsidization for Starlink. Rather, they used and wasted a bunch of money to try to dig wire and lay fiber optics in rural areas, which resulted in nothing. There's plenty of examples, but often this version of trickle-down economics is more of a spoil system. Rather than rewarding efficient firms that will grow the economy and productive and for everyone, it's a spoil system where the Democrat gives government largesse or handouts to select people that will then return favor and help out the Democratic Party. So more of a political power Marxist move rather than what's best for the economy, what's best for the American people. Let's go back to the Republican example of trickle-down or supply side. So in a supply side economy, under the Republican policy, you have good firms, and in our purple are bad, are struggling, are weak firms. But both receive tax breaks. Both receive the opportunity to lower their costs. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you, the consumer, you, the household, decide which firms to support. And you support or you use your money to vote for the better product. You vote for the stronger firm. And over time, even if the bad firms are receiving tax breaks and are deregulated, but if you're not buying their goods, eventually they go out of business. And you prop up and support the stronger firms. The firms that have proven that they are better at innovating, inventing, being productive, being efficient. And over time, we get an economy filled with strong, productive, efficient businesses. And this ultimately comes down to you, the consumer, making the decision. The Republicans put the tax breaks in place. They deregulated. They walked away, backed into the bushes. Then you, the consumer, came out of the bush and decided which ones are you going to buy. And over time, the firms that won your support grew, and the bad cells, the dead cells, the bad cells, they got cleared away, which are those purple businesses that couldn't compete, that were inefficient. They got cleared out. And we get an economy filled with great businesses. Magic. Over here, we got good firms, and you got bad firms. And again, you, the households, the consumers, ultimately decide where your dollars are going to go. Now, there was no tax breaks or deregulation over here. But they are able to lower costs for you because we do have some firms and institutions being heavily subsidized. And with that extra money, they can lower their costs. You bet on the good businesses, and so we get some good businesses. But what about the bad cells? Are they cleared away? Does the body, the economy clear away these bad cells? No, they do not, because they're still being subsidized by the government. And so we still have bad firms, bad cells. And you might say, well, what's so bad about it? Well, because your taxes are paying to prop up these inefficient, unproductive firms, these inefficient, unproductive institutions. And over time, if you keep having to pay taxes to prop up bad businesses that are wasteful, eventually, folks, you're going to have less money to spend. And what happens to the economy? It seems pretty clear. It seems pretty simple. Which version of supply side economics do you think is going to work? We're going to see soon, because the previous administration of Biden was the Democrats, and that was your trickle-down subsidy economy. Didn't work out so well for us. How about that game, eeny, meeny, miny, mo? Well, the Trump administration is going to lean into the supply side economics of the Republican policy, where they cut taxes, they cut regulation, and then Trump slides back into the bushes and you come out and you start buying, baby.